Are you struggling with loss? Are you willing to challenge everything you've been taught about life and death? Beyond Proof Radio is a space that explores beyond current self-limiting beliefs surrounding loss, offering radical healing which will come from the least likely of places. Join Angie on her experiential journey, which includes metaphysics, science, and spirituality, proving that the body is merely a shell of our soul. It is possible to create an amazing life from the depths of pain. It's your life. It's your choice. Now, here's your host.
Welcome, 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 my beautiful listeners. Oh my gosh, I'm back. I hope you and your families are all healthy and safe. It's like our world just changed in a blink of an eye. And I can't believe that we've gone through this now for 6 months. That's a half a year. This pandemic has taught me to be grateful and really appreciate things that I took for granted. The fresh air, tiny restaurants, the clinking of glasses and conversations, the sights, the sounds, the smells, our freedom to come and go, and the potential to live in fear because we don't know what's going to happen next and when the shoe might drop. And after the suicide deaths of my loved ones, I had to overcome that one obstacle, which has taught me another very important lesson in life that I wanted to share with you all. We cannot hang on so tightly because the people, the places, things, our environment, they will change and they can be taken away in a heartbeat. And like I had said, this goes for people too. And when we hang on so tightly to the expectation that they are to live for us, they are to die when we want, that they're set up on our agenda, that they were ours, we will be so disappointed. And it's much more difficult to adapt when we cling to that one belief. And so if we can allow ourselves maybe, and what I have found the most healing is just not hanging on so tightly. Because when we cling and we claw to keep things the same, we become hardened, we judge, especially if someone else doesn't believe what we believe in or follow what we've been told or others have threatened that it's the only way. And we miss these opportunities for considerable growth when we are narrow-minded and hang on so tightly. And when we listen to others who try to tell us what to do and what is right and what is wrong, we miss the opportunity for growth because then we assume that we are supposed to be walking in each other's shoes, which we simply cannot do. And different circumstances call for different tools, right? If we're tending a garden, we don't throw the lawnmower out, it stays in the shed while we reach for our pruning shears. So this show, you guys, is about trusting ourselves enough to know which tools we need during life's challenges. I took a little sabbatical for a moment in time. In fact, I planned it before March, before all of this COVID even started to unfold, to complete my 21-day journal. I can't wait to share with you. It's been a labor of love, and it was one of the first places I started was journaling. Answers from beyond came pouring out. So I will be sharing that with you guys within the next few weeks or so. My book is coming along. We've rescheduled the 2020 Mothers Who Have Lost a Child to Death retreat. And I want to say a special thank you to Ghost Ranch for being so accommodating in allowing us to change the dates. The information is up on my website, and then the new video will come out shortly. And then to share with you the most painful event that transpired these last 6 months was the death of my very close friend. On March 29th, I think it was March 29th, yeah, I woke to an email from our neighborhood community association telling us that there was a house fire in our neighborhood, and my heart sank. The letter gave the address and said the owner did not make it. And the owner was one of my closest friends, Jim Bradley. And Jim, I love you. We were like brother and sister. He was the man of honor at my wedding to Jan. We spent a lot of time together. He was the medical director for a major hospital in Albuquerque. And I met him when he was practicing as a pulmonologist and critical care doctor 16 years ago. He was a brilliant physician and a really great friend. And on March 24th, he was one of the very few lung specialists available and found himself on the front lines of COVID-19 in the intensive care unit and on call for the week. And we would text each other, COVID-19 day 1, COVID-19 day 2, and he'd share with me what he was witnessing and what was happening. He was nervous. He was a bit scared. It wasn't like him. He just felt ill-prepared and wasn't sure and confided in me that he wished someone would watch him to make sure he was putting his PPEs on correctly after watching a short video explaining what to do. I do miss his physical presence. I think of him often. He's already sent signs within 1 day of his transition. And maybe that's because, like my son would say, Mom, this isn't our first rodeo. So I'm looking forward to sharing these signs with you all as well. So needless to say, it has been a challenging several months, but I'm so glad to be back, sharing with you ways in which to prove that we are all so connected in life and in death, and what a thin, thin veil there is between the both of them. And I want to thank you all, too, for all of your beautiful messages and emails, wondering where the heck I've been. Now you know. And I so appreciate hearing your amazing stories and how you are moving beyond grief to a more workable and peaceful knowing that your loved one is still right here. I love hearing the excitement of connecting, or the ones that you guys are connecting with your loved ones in the most sometimes comical ways. And you share those with me. And you are now starting to see and find for yourself this glorious, amazing place where our loved ones reside. And I can't wait to hear more. Anyway, today, before I sat down, I was reflecting a little bit on Brené Brown's TED Talk. I listened to her TED Talk. I don't know if you all know Brené Brown. I absolutely love her. She is like a research in shame and vulnerability. And I just had to add this in this morning, or this afternoon for the show about vulnerability. Because doing this and sharing with you all from the depths of my soul, I know is out there. It is not streamlined. It is not mainstream. There is no rhyme or reason for the signs and symbols. And what she says is that vulnerability is not a weakness. It's emotional risk, exposure, uncertainty. It fuels our daily lives, and that the most accurate measurement of vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. So most I have found, we want to fit in. We don't want to stick out. We want to blend in. We don't want people laughing at us, pointing fingers at us. There have been many times that I've crawled back under the covers for fear of what people say, how they'll judge me. But in my soul, I shouldn't care, right? We shouldn't care. So I had to get to a place of trusting myself that no one's criticism was going to affect me. And this was in every part of my life, not just death. And it was tough admitting that I was experiencing signs and symbols. Coming from a Catholic and Christian background, it's been challenging not to convince or persuade others to follow this new path into what could be the darkness of death. So I wanted to shed light on it instead, and I wanted to rip it wide open and find out what all the kerfuffle was about. And so when I started researching and I experienced and I listened to others and I read and I kept an open mind, I was able to come to my own truths. And this is what my hope is for you all. No one else. And yes, they are different. And I used to call myself out there until the videographer at my retreat last year said to me after the retreat, Angie, I want you to quit saying what you are doing is out there. I was a firsthand witness that the work you do changes lives. And I'm going to cry, you guys. I just wanted to send a note once again to express my admiration for you and what a profound experience this retreat was. It confirmed everything you've been working toward and then some. It was such a joy to watch. I haven't been able to stop thinking about and what an honor it was to be a witness. You all, I have wanted you to take this risk with me. And whether you choose to or not, it's totally up to you. It is risky when the majority is talking a talk, but not walking the walk, right? It's easy to tell everyone else out there how to live your life, especially through the death, through the grief, and through the pain, because they're not walking in our shoes. And so at this point, it's so important who we consider our family and friends. It would have been so much physically easier to comply, to follow rules, to follow the sheep, fit in, than to go against my grain. But my soul would not allow me to do this. And I feel that confusion is the biggest indicator of listening to our ego minds and analytical self-sabotage minds instead of following our hearts. I believe everything that flows with us and with of ease is of God, and anything of a struggle is of not of God, and it is in our humanness to get our way. So my heart and head were in complete confusion and chaos, so I get it. And I knew I would lose a lot. I had a story, and I know that I was given these deaths and this trauma for some purpose, and I was going to find out why such a heavy task was laid upon my feet. And I'm glad that I did. I wish it didn't take the death of my two men in my life who were so important to me, but nothing, absolutely nothing I have found has the potential to change us more than when we have brought to our knees in pain and suffering. And during this time, I was sent an email from one woman, Suzanne. And Suzanne, if you are listening today, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you so much for your kind words. I do say all of the time, and I preface, I don't need affirmation or validation. I receive that every day from the way death has taught me to love and live a better, more authentic of life. But those validations and affirmations sure feel good when it is received. Again, thank you, thank you, thank you. And this is what makes me realize that the work that I do has value. Maybe not the masses, but I quit needing validation from that. So Suzanne, I'm going to read your email. And again, thank you. Oh, you guys, I'm going to cry. Hello, Angie. I want to thank you for helping me. And I'm sure others of countless strangers through a journey that often is one that people do not wish to help others through. Last year, I came across your site, and many a time since, I have been so grateful for your words of wisdom, your encouragement to strangers, helping them navigate grief and loss. Unexpectedly and traumatically, I faced intense loss and grief from the death of my friend, my hero, and my family's earth angel. As the days and weeks have passed, I have many a time turned to your inspiration and support, and I thank you deeply. I have noticed during the times of the pandemic that you have been quieter in your offerings, and I truly hope that you yourself are managing this unusually difficult time in our world community. I hope you do not mind me sending this message, as I felt it important to offer thanks to those who unknowingly save people and help them manage through one more day and extend that support to whoever they can. Thank you wholeheartedly. Kind regards, Suzanne. Oh, Suzanne. And this has not been an easy journey for me, not only to navigate the grief, but to share it with others, and then vulnerable at the same time of being ridiculed and judged and told I may go to places that I don't really want to go to. I feel at my most vulnerable. Everything that I teach comes from my own authentic and real experiences. And when others choose to try, they are finding more joy than pain in their lives. And I'm reminded by a quote that John Lennon said, and I want to bring this up now before we start getting into the trust. There are two basic motivating forces, fear and love. That's it. Every single thing, look at from the perspective, is it coming from fear or is it coming from love? And he goes on to say, when we are afraid, we pull back from life. When we are in love, we open to all that life has to offer with passion, excitement, and acceptance. We need to learn to love ourselves first in all our glory and all our imperfections. If we cannot love ourselves, we cannot fully open to our ability to love others or our potential to create. Evolution and all hopes for a better world rest in the fearlessness and open-hearted vision of people who embrace life. Don't you love that? So not just in everything we do, not just in death. We have to trust ourselves to the core. And when we do, there is this freedom that is waiting on the other side that is so rewarding. But we might be ridiculed, mocked, made fun of, threatened from people who should support us. Instead, we need to find our own comfort and healing. It's not going to be out there. Yes, there are people like me. There are people like Brene Brown. There are quotes from John Lennon. We have got to find what works for us. And I'm going to take a moment right now and share a message that I received from another woman. And I'm sure there are hundreds, if not thousands more like her, who wrote me very confused. And she was being threatened by heaven, and her friends that were saying, if you speak to the dead, you will never be in heaven with your husband. And I'm not sure how old this woman is. I'm thinking she may be kind of close to my age, maybe a little younger. So to spend the next 60, 50 years of your life in pain, waiting for something when all we're guaranteed is right now. So if you come to that premise that you're not supposed to speak to the dead, I have a simple answer for you. They're not dead. And this is your journey and this is your life. Create a different belief around that. When we read, we're reading from the perspective of our own beliefs. So to tell somebody what to believe, we are asking them to have our experiences and to believe based on their beliefs, their truths, their expectations. How do you know what is right or what is wrong? Find out for yourself. And what does your heart say? In your heart of hearts, do you really believe this to be true, that they're really gone? If so, then follow that and don't be confused anymore. If that feels good to you and what your friends have shared with you, follow that. But if it doesn't, research another path. Create a different path that resonates more with how you feel. And I believe coming from fear or coming from love, our souls always guide us in the path of love. It's our heads that kind of start sabotaging that. It will be your path. And it goes right back again. I'm going to use a lawnmower. Would you use a lawnmower to trim your delicate rose bushes? Would you use a hammer to paint the walls in your house? And so we need tools to navigate each part of our journey. Unless anyone has been in my journey, they cannot judge why I've changed a belief system or why my actions are speaking different than what is expected of me. So the first step in not being afraid, fear of making a wrong decision can be the most damaging. Use your analytical brain to analyze the details and be discerning, but allow your soul to guide you. Sting has a popular song. You guys, I'm going to try to sing it here. Are you ready? Let your soul be your pilot. Let your soul guide you and guide you well. So someone else's interpretations and advice are going to be tainted because it's not your soul. It's theirs, based on their own upbringing. Trust yourself. And I love this, and I like it to whether you're a cat or a bird, okay? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because we judge good, bad, right, wrong. It's a matter of perspective. The cat has this bird in his mouth. Who's right or wrong, the bird or the cat? It comes from a different perspective. The cat, on one hand, thinks good bird, but the bird, on the other hand, thinks bad cat. So it's been my journey, and it's been proven to me beyond a shadow of a doubt that our loved ones are not dead, but you cannot take my word for it. I don't want you to put your trust in me. You don't even know me. Find your own truth. Yes, I offer resources of how I started creating a different life based on the experiences I was having and where my heart was leading me. I had to quit listening to everyone else, or better yet, listen, but be discerning on what information you're going to take in. I still had to sit and trust that my answers would come to me, and I would not allow others' advice, no matter how loving and kind it was offered, to dictate what my soul was teaching me. I felt so sad for this poor woman. No wonder she's confused. And I lived in that confusion for 45 years until I started paying attention to the lessons I was learning and finding the joy. Nothing in my life that consists of joy, love, and light are ever evil, no matter where they come from. And I feel it is a validation that I'm on the right path. It may not be what you want from me. You might try and save me, but I'm adding to my experiences by trusting myself. And we must first learn the truth and go beyond that surface level. And be careful who we choose to listen to. Anything positive, calming, reassuring is of God. And how will we know? Because anything from our loved ones, anything from spirit, from God, from source, Christ energy, is bathed in love and light. Darkness, evil, and judgment are found on this earth and in our humanness. Just look around at what is going on. And we're coming up on a break in about 2 minutes. So let me stop here for a moment and want to share with you all to tune in on October the 7th. I have a beautiful guest coming on. He is author Jacob Nordby. He is the author of Blessed Are the Weird, a manifesto for creatives. He's also the author of The Divine Arsonist. In order to create, we have to be different, and we are going to be labeled weird for right now, because this path is different than the norm. And there's got to be this willingness to not be afraid of being labeled weird or out there, so we don't share our experiences. So I ask that you join Jacob and me as we discuss his books and how to overcome this sense of fear of being labeled and not fitting in order for us to create a different life than what people, our loved ones, have put us on this path that we feel like we have to stay on. Right now, I'm going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll delve into trust. Thank you all.
Step into your highest potential and tune into embodying your higher self. Tools for Conscious Living with Michelle Chempaka. You can listen on TransformationTalkRadio.com or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Michelle is an energy healer, intuitive, and shamanic practitioner dedicated to helping you heal and transform your life. For more information about sessions, coaching, and upcoming workshops and retreats, visit SpiritWeaverJourneys.com.
Yeah, yippee skippy to that, baby. We're not done yet. Some of us are out here to educate and inspire. This year, 2020, is the year we gotta show me the money in the cash flow. I'm Dr. Pat. This is the Dr. Pat Show. This is Talk Radio to Thrive By.
Visit thedrpatshow.com.
Listen up. The wealth you receive is a result of your personal relationship with the soul of money, meaning your spiritual well-being affects your ability to create abundance. Jennifer Bloom works with people to mend the spiritual disconnects that block up the cash flow. How's your relationship with yourself? Are you in balance with the divine? I know, these are big questions, but there are answers. Take Jennifer's free money relationship quiz to learn where you need to focus your energy and watch yourself grow into the abundance you deserve. Trust the divine. Learn to receive. You are worthy of all the wealth you seek. Visit jenniferbloom.com and click on the purple banner to take the free money relationship quiz. That's Jennifer Bloom, BLOOME.com.
Hey everyone, it's me, Psychic Medium Jamie.
And me, Spirit Walker Nicole from Shades of Spirit, bringing you another Shades of Spirit tip of the week. Jamie, have you ever wondered if you might be an empath?
Yes, I have, and some signs that we may be an empath include an inexplicable desire to avoid crowds in places like movie theaters, shopping centers, and restaurants.
You know, sometimes I'm able to walk into a room with other people, and I know exactly how they're feeling, even if no one is saying a word.
I can attend social gatherings or other events and find myself so emotionally exhausted and physically drained that I could probably sleep for a week.
If any of these examples resonate with you, please come check out our new live podcast, Shades of Spirit. It's on every Monday morning at 8 a.m. on Transformation Talk Radio.
You can also find us at shadesofspirit.com, where you can book your appointment or call us at 858-684-7575.
Welcome back, everyone, from break. We're delving into trusting and how we can trust if it's really our loved one or from beyond, and how we start beginning to trust our own experiences. And it might be frightening at first. When we choose our own paths and we create our own lives, it frightens those who have tried to control us for our whole lives. They lose control of us when we take control of our own lives. And this can be daunting, especially if we lived our lives in service to these people. Or as I say, I'm a self-proclaimed and a recovering people pleaser. So I wanted to make everyone happy, but my soul was screaming, not good, danger. And I didn't learn how important it was to trust myself and my ability to make my own life, because I was more afraid of losing everything and anyone that I had up until now that I considered my world, my eyes, my ears. And yes, I gave up my soul to belong to fit in, or to belong and fit in. Sorry. until death knocked on my door. And that's when I had to start realizing, how can I come out of this? I have got to trust my experiences. I was afraid to share these experiences I was having with other people. So the definition of trust, let's go through the Merriam-Webster's dictionary, and I'm going to read it to you guys. It is the assured reliance on the character, ability, strength, or truth of someone or something, one in which confidence is placed. This is a tough one because our whole lives, we have been told what to believe. We have been told kind of who we are. We were shown or told whether we were strong, whether we were weak. And so to step out on this ledge and trust that our experiences from beyond, whether it's an association, whether it really is our loved one, whatever that is, to share that, how can we trust that when this is nothing that we've ever been taught before? So to trust ourselves is critical, and it takes a little bit of experience. We've got to get in there. But you know how you will be able to know to trust yourself? Because you'll feel it in your body and soul. You will feel joy. You will feel empowered. You will feel happy. You will not feel sad or confused. But instead, we go seek validation from others, usually from those who don't have our highest and best interests at heart. And when we don't trust ourselves, we go to seek to receive someone else's opinion and their validation. And I know I was guilty of this at first as well. I was so excited when I was witnessing these signs and symbols that were most of the time unexplainable and irrational. And most people who knew me, who grew up with me, who raised me, know that I have a rational head on my shoulders. That I wasn't one to just jump in and just take someone's word for it, or to, I started considering myself crazy. I thought, and I was looking up some of the definitions of mental illness. Oh my gosh, I must be schizophrenic. I'm talking to, no, that'll be a whole nother show on mental illness, mind games, and what is real and what our soul can believe. Because I was looking for validation too. And why do you think we go and look outside of ourselves when we are seeing these signs and symbols? First, I was so excited because if I found that there is no death, that I had finally proof, a simply transition into another existence or another world. And although it didn't bring Nick and Jan back to me, it did make the days more magical. When we have experience and the signs and the symbols are trivial, like a box of shoes or a robin or a penny, the sign is given to you from beyond. It will only make sense to you. And it will be an intimate sign from your loved one that is shared only between the two of you. Because of its triviality, we don't trust it. We are waiting for these humongous signs like a lightning bolt strike from the sky. And we need to trust that experience. Did you have a good relationship with your loved one? Did you experience amazing times with one another? And it's here where I have found that the more that I was engaged with my loved one, the more aware and in the present moment, I was with them while they were alive. And if or when our loved ones should die before us, these become the miracles and messages from beyond. And we must trust these messages. And when we do, more messages present. And the more we believe, the more signs and symbols will present. When we trust, we will know it. Our bodies will know the truth. Let me give you an example of this. In some of my lectures, regarding energy, either positive or negative. Have you all ever walked into a room and felt good, warm, and fuzzy, and people loved you, they appreciated you, they wanted to be around you? No words were necessary, right? It was a feeling. It was a feel-good feeling. You wanted to stay there forever, right? How it feels so good to be accepted and loved. It was a sense that you belonged and were accepted for no other reason except you or just you. That's sort of like when you experience a sign, a symbol, a dream from your loved one, and you feel joy and you smile for the first time in months or years. That's the connection. That's the energetic connection. And the more you continue to experience that one smile for that one moment in day where you're not curled up in the fetal position, bawling your eyes out because you miss them, those moments become more and more and more and more. On the other side of the coin, however, have you ever walked into a room where you felt unwelcomed, judged, laughed at, disrespected? No words again are necessary. It's just a feeling, not a touchy feeling like, touchy-feely feeling like some will be convinced that feelings are touchy-feely and an emotion. This is a compass, and this compass will guide you. Where do you feel most comfortable? Our feelings which reside in our bodies will guide us, and we will either choose to go to the flow or we will go towards resistance. And I have found personally, when I have banged my head up against a wall hundreds of times expecting a different result, that is the definition of insanity. When I just allowed the process and death included, whatever was to present, my life became more free. So how do you feel when you talk to others about that sign from your loved one? How does that make you feel? Accepted, understood, or do you feel embarrassed and hurt? Most of us choose to suffer and continue to surround ourselves with those where we don't feel good about ourselves, instead of surrounding ourselves with people, like-minded people who wish well for us. That is the definition of love, to wish well. Not to judge, not to hope for something different, not to force on our path, not to judge their path, just to wish well. So trusting is also considered the sixth sense, that knowing. We know when something feels right. We know when something feels wrong. And at first, is it wishful thinking? Does it matter? This is your life. Why do we allow other people to tell us what to believe, who to follow, how to act? We don't know the first thing about trusting ourselves because for most of us, we have been told what to believe, what way to vote, when to eat, what to eat, who were good influences, who were not so good, and in so doing that, or when we do that, we become dependent on other people and what they tell us. And when we were children, we were too young to know that these same people were put in our lives to shepherd our stories, but more importantly, probably are stealing them. Thank you to Lance for sharing that with me. I love that. Our parents are put in our paths to shepherd our stories, not steal them. They taught us to fear what they feared because they feared. And most of the time it was out of love, not allowing us to touch the hot burner on the stove and saying ad nauseum, hot, ouch, don't touch, oven hot. What's the first thing we do when their backs are turned? We touch the hot stove. So no matter how loving and kind someone's intentions are for us, in a way, as we grow older, we are stifled. We don't know how to trust ourselves. So of course we don't trust our experiences. So the problem is we don't know how to feel because we've only been taught. And we certainly don't know how to trust those feelings. And so I challenge each of you, start with using peace and love and light. I found this wonderful, it's kind of symbolism. It's a graph. And on one spectrum, it has got sad, mad, scared. Other spectrum is peaceful, powerful, and joyful. We cannot love if we live in fear. We cannot be scared and be peaceful. So we cannot be scared of being rejected and anxious and weak and looked upon as foolish or embarrassed if we are going to feel content, loving, trusting, relaxed. So what part of that spectrum are you on, I ask? Scared or peaceful? We can't be lonely, depressed, guilty, feel stupid or inferior, inadequate, and at the same time feel joyful in life, excited, energetic, creative, amused, delighted. So I ask you, where are you on this spectrum? Do you find yourself most of the time feeling sad? Are you willing to open up your heart and mind to joyful? Do you find yourself angry or more joyful? Love and fear cannot live on the same continuum. So now let's go into a little bit about dreams. And you all, if this is my first show back, we took a little bit more time I did in the very beginning. So what we don't cover now, we will definitely cover in our next shows. But let's go into now your dreams. How can we possibly trust our dreams when we've been told from a very young age that it's all in our imagination and that it is when we sleep? It's not quote unquote real. Oh my God. So I do believe that we must close our eyes sometimes in order to see. So let me share with you from Sylvia Browne's. I love this book. If you all get a chance and are interested, it's called The Book of Dreams. She's a New York Times #1 best-selling author, and it's called The Miraculous Journeys of Sleep. There is nothing more fascinating, more intensely personal, and more uniquely ours than the voyages our minds and spirits take while we sleep. These dreams and other adventures confuse us, alarm us, preoccupy us, relieve us, amuse us, comfort us, inform us, enlighten us, and above all, keep us more sane and whole than we could ever hope to be without them. Our sleep journeys, even the nightmares, are gifts, our allies to embrace rather than dread, and worthy every effort it takes to unravel their mysteries and cherish every valuable lesson they have to offer. It's a very popular question I receive a lot. And I have experienced communications with both Nick and Jan in my dreams. When we think about it, we are taught from a very young age that our dreams aren't real. Instead, can we shift that paradigm to when we quiet our minds and we shut our analytical and judgmental and sabotaged minds up, that we allow our subconscious minds to explore? I highly recommend reading Sylvia Browne's book, and I will share how I found her in itself. That was also a sign from beyond, because 20 years ago, when I first heard her name, I was very judgmental. I would not even listen to her, watch her, read her books. And so I'm looking so forward to sharing what changed my mind. And it was a profound sign, and I'm so grateful that I did. There are several types of dreams that she talks about, and we will not go into this right now, but there are 5 different dream states. And the key here in this show is that we need to trust what we are experiencing is real, instead of searching for others' opinions that are coming from their own perceptions, their beliefs, their upbringings. And my own dreams, when I experienced and I trusted them, my life out when my eyes were open, legitimately when my eyes were open, my life seemed to flow smoothly. And so we sleep 8 hours. Most of us, that is like a third of our lifetime. So what we experience these hours, and then to have someone tell us that our dreams are not real, of course they can be labeled as not real, because our analytical minds, our egotistical minds can't sabotage the beauty of the messages. I have had the most profound experiences when I've allowed my left judgmental, programmed, and analytical mind to shut up and be quiet. Keep a dream journal. I challenge each of you. I say this a lot in the work that I do. And most will say, well, I can never remember my dreams, Angie. Oh, I would never. I can't wake up. I'm too lazy. Yet these are the same people who are also coming to me in such grief, not willing to try something different. And of course, I looked at this, jot anything down at any hour, at any time. There are some pages where I have one word, or I saw a sign and I just started drawing it. That's it. It doesn't matter. Jot anything down. Don't look at it. Don't read it. Don't analyze them. Just write it down. They have meaning. And I started keeping one, and I'm so grateful that I did. After Nick died, October 18th, 2015. So what was that? 6 months after he had died, to current August 30th of 2020. Years sometimes have gone by and something will trigger. I'll say to myself, this is really familiar. I remember this. Where did I see this? And I'll want to find out. And I'll share this with you. On December 2nd, I was listening to Jason Stevenson's Floating Amongst the Stars, my favorite guided meditation guru. Nicholas was showing me and handing me a wooden necklace bracelet on a leather chain. It said I.K.E.A. And all I wrote in my dream journal was IKEA furniture. That's all I did. IKEA furniture. And I remember the string or whatever, the cord that attached this oblong IKEA. I put it away. Then on January 25th, I had another dream. This one was not guided. This time it was when Nicholas presented to me and just said, as clear as if he was standing right here. And if you know me, you know, I know he was. Mom, I know everything already. Oh my God, IKEA. I scrambled to find the first dream. I know everything already. And from his vantage point, from our loved one's vantage point, instead of sabotaging that blessing, as Candace Thomas would say, reward in it, relish in it. It has meaning. You may not understand its meaning when you first have it, but eventually you will find its meaning. And you don't have to believe in the power of dreams, but before you criticize it or drudge it, keep a dream journal until you decide to either continue it or to cease it. It's your choice. And let's, real quick, Sylvia talks of the 5 stages of grief. And I'm sorry, I got a little bit sidetracked, you guys, but the 5 stages of grief that she does talk about: prophetic, release, wish, information or problem solving, and astral visits. I've had all of these. I didn't know what they were. So it was really nice to have a handle on someone who was very godly in principle, but who also taught me so much more than I didn't know. And basically saying, our dreams are very intimate. They're very private. If someone tries to tell you what something is in your dream, be very cautious, because the color yellow might be something very, very different for someone else than it was in my dream. So we come to next, are you afraid to share your experiences with others for the fear of their judgment and rejection of you? And this goes along the same lines with dreams as well. we need to ask ourselves why we fear their judgment. And it's sad that the very people who we should expect support and want the best for us are the same ones that judge our experiences. And I do hope you turn in again, mark it on your calendars, October 7th, Wednesday, a month from now. I have invited the beautiful author of 2 books, Blessed Are the Weird, A Manifesto for the Creative, and The Divine Arsonist. And if you're going to follow this path, what you will have to give up for now until this begins to take on a more normal feel, which already is, you will be labeled probably out there and a little weird. It takes a level of comfort. And at first I curled up in the fetal position because I didn't want that. I tried my whole life to not be weird. That I wasn't able to live in my authenticity. I was too busy worrying about what everybody thought and what everybody felt about me or what they were saying about me. But when we create something different from the depths of our pain and sorrow, we have this choice to be liked or to be fulfilled. And our desire to connect with our loved ones and know it is them and know that there's no such thing as death has to be greater than our need to be accepted, approved of, labels assigned, and validated. I tell so many people, if you're afraid of what others think of you, don't tell anyone. And then I wonder, why do we run to share with them? Uncle Joe threw a quarter at me while I was driving, or the lights flicker on and off in a room when no one is in it. Or I felt a chill. I know it was him. It was in the kitchen. It was exactly where he liked to cook. There's no explanation. You just feel the presence. What are we asking for? Judgment and ridicule? Why do we go to that person who never believed in our story anyway? What do we want from them? A validation that we're already whack? I talk a lot about following your soul, but it is here where you do have to use your head, your analytical judgment. Why on earth would you ever want to share your experience with someone like this? They don't deserve to hear your story. They don't want to share in your joy or connection. If these were true friends and family who want what is good for you in your highest and best interest, don't you think they would be the first one to jump up and down? Because it's the first time they've ever seen you smile for several months or years? They base their judgments on possible ignorance and fear because they've never searched outside of themselves for anything different. And you guys, right now, unfortunately, I have 1 minute. Our show has come to an end. Remember, your vibe is your tribe. We didn't go into coincidences, but we will go into those at my next show. Right now, this is your life. It's your choice. And in love and light, until next time, thank you so much for spending this hour with me. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Beyond Proof Radio with Angie, redefining death and loss. Tune in every first Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com as Angie shares through choice, present moment awareness, and a willingness to keep an open mind that anything is possible, even in death. For more information or to listen to past shows, visit BeyondProof.com. That's BeyondProof.com. See you next time.